let's talk about the books that I probably won't read in 2022. Yes, you heard me right. The books I probably won't read. And this is my anticipated new releases video. Everyone and their mother is talking about all the new releases. I'm getting very excited. I haven't pre-ordered anything. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm changing my mindset for 2022. If you're like me, you have a lot of physical books on your TBR that you really want to get to, and this is the year I really want to get to most of them. So I'm putting a rule on myself about these anticipated releases, but let me just go through and list them. I'm going to try and list them in chronological order of when they are released, so you guys know what books I'm excited for, and you'll probably see me talking about them in the future. Hopefully I'll get a chance to read them, but you know, they are not the priority. So if I don't read them in 2022, that's okay, but it doesn't mean that I'm not so excited for them. The first book that I'm going to actually try and read this year, we will see what happens, but it's already been released. Let me grab it. And that book is Akata Witch by Akata. So this is the third installment of the, what is this series called? No idea what this series is officially called, but this is the third installment. The first one is Akata Witch, which I managed to read last year in November in my 30 books in 30 days challenge. I have a whole playlist if you want to check that out, but I really enjoyed it. And I immediately got Akata Warrior, which is the second one, and I'm going to read that. Hopefully during Blackathon I'll get to these next installments of the series. Basically, it's a magical world, kind of like, I was about to say kind of like ours. It's an urban fantasy, so it's a world like ours, but there are magical witches and creatures living amongst us secretly, and some group of kids is destined and fated to save humanity and fight evil beings and all that stuff. I recommend not knowing too much going into this series because it is just fun learning about the magic system. It's so unique, and the story isn't based in like the Western world. It takes place in Africa. I think specifically Nigeria, but I might be putting my foot in my mouth like I always do. But it's quite enjoyable. I really thought it was a fun time. I'm so hopeful that I'll read this in 2022. Unlike the other books, which I'm pretty sure I'm not, because I don't want to be buying all these books and having to read them just to, you know, ignore all the books that I have on my TBR. The next book I'm so excited for, and it hasn't been released yet. By the time this video is released, it's going to be releasing soon, and that is the sequel to Love Boat Taipei. I believe it's going to be a companion novel called I just have it written down in my planner as Love Boat Taipei 2, but it's following a different set of characters and their romantic relationship. So this story focuses on Ever, who is a Chinese American student who is in the United States, learning and whatever, and for a summer program, her parents decide to send her off to this program in Taiwan called Love Boat Taipei, which is supposed to really instill a lot of cultural education and talents, but it's also known to partner people. Something that's really important to Ever's parents is that she dates someone of Chinese descent. This book really talks about the generational differences between her parents and Ever. It's a great conversation, and it also talks a lot about dancing because Ever is a dancer. It's cute. There's a great like love story in here mixed in. Amazing, like top tier, such a cute book. Watch me buy all these books for my birthday. And the whole reason why I don't really want to purchase all these books is because in previous years what I would do is all these books that I'm excited for, I would go on Amazon and I would pre-order them. So they would just roll up on my doorstep whenever they get released. The thing I've come to realize, though I am very excited to read these books, I don't tend to actually read them in the month or even in the year that they're released. So I'm going to be saving my coin and purchasing them when I'm actually ready to read them. Next book that comes out in February, which I'm sure so many people are talking about because it's a big author, a big name, Sarah J. Maas. So I really enjoyed Crescent City, and the first installment is House of Earth and Blood. So obsessed. A book has never made me cry so much within the first 70 pages, and this was my first like high fantasy of Sarah J. Maas's that I've ever read. I haven't read any of her other like high fantasy Throne of Glass stuff. This is a series that I'm in the middle of and very much enjoying, so I'm definitely going to be grabbing that sequel, and it comes out February 15th, I believe. Not sure if I'm going to get around to reading the sequel this year. because it's big, and the way I like to read series is I kind of like to binge them, so I'd want to probably reread this and then read the second one. This is a story about a girl named Bryce, has some magical ability, right? Is she magical? That there's like a serial killer roaming around killing people, and for some reason Bryce is like one of the only people who can solve it. And then there's a grumpy angel who also is like supposed to manage Bryce and make sure she's taking the case seriously. If you read it, you know the next book I'm so excited for. It's actually kind of similar to Crescent City, but a little bit more exciting because it is in the academic scope. So it is The Black Witch by Christina Forrest. I will link down all the books below if you are interested in checking any of them out. This is about a girl who is descended from a powerful witch, and that powerful witch at some point enslaved a bunch of magical creatures and created this hierarchy that witches were on top and superior, and there's all the other creatures who are lesser than. There's a lot of political intrigue. A lot of those people don't like being stepped on, like you would assume. And our main character is a descendant from this woman who caused so much pain to a lot of different races. This girl decides she doesn't want to get married off. She decides to go off to school and study, but it's very difficult being as she looks identical to her grandmother. So when she steps onto campus, all these people see the face of their oppressor. Lots of really, really good juicy things. And in March, the 4th installment comes out. So this is a nice thick series. I highly recommend. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait. I'm gonna be binging all of them because I do own 3 of them. I don't know when I'm gonna have the time to be like, okay, let me just read 4 600-page books back to back to back. Next book we have coming out in the month of, I think it is April, is the 3rd installment for a series that is called A Blade So Black. I think that's what the series is called, or not. You know, I should really learn what all these series are called. And what's also very exciting, if you haven't noticed, is I'm trying to stick to only being excited for series that I'm currently reading and not getting too excited for too many new series. And this is a story that's an Alice in Wonderland retelling, but black. We have our world that she lives in. She still goes to school, Alice. Then we have Wonderland, where she's kind of connected to it. She basically is in charge of killing nightmares that slip through from Wonderland into the human world. Like when humans, if there's a lot of discourse, arguments, war, in Wonderland, all these nightmares appear, like these magical creatures that feed off fear, and they come into the human world and like kill people. And Alice is now dedicated to protecting people, and the Mad Hatter helps her. And it's just it's a really great reimagining of it. I really enjoyed this first book, and I can't wait for the 3rd installment. Again, don't know if that's gonna be this year. That is the constant book nerd struggle of being excited for all the new releases, but literally never having the time to read them. There's just too many books, guys. It's a lot. Ooh, okay. I don't know if also these dates are correct, just because Goodreads and Amazon sometimes say different things, so I'm doing my best. The next book I'm very excited for is The Gilded Ones. This was a fantasy series that was kindly sent to me, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It gave me Raybearer kind of vibes, if that makes sense. Kind of feminist, but also just really empowering. And this is, again, how do I explain this world? It's so crazy. Where a breed of people, so a group of girls who bleed gold blood, are considered the Gilded Ones, and they have really special abilities. It takes a lot to kill them. So the government in this world decides to take all these girls who have these powers, train them, and make them into an army. It's very, very interesting. I really enjoyed the discussion in this, and there's a little bit of romance in here that's not like my favorite. This is more of a 4-star book for me, but I'm still very, very, very excited to continue this series. And it comes out in May. I don't know if I said that. The other book that may come out in May or August, it says different things on different websites for some reason. Oh no, So not exactly sure if it's August or May, but it is the 2nd in the Amari and the Night Brothers series. I believe the series is the Night Brothers. Unsure. But if you like X-Files and if you like Men in Black, where there's a secret organization tasked to making sure that magical creatures stay secret in our world, That's the gist. And in the first installment, we follow Amari, who is looking for her brother who recently disappeared, and she doesn't know why. And it's her job, well, not really her job, but she makes it her job to go and find her brother. This is a middle grade, just letting you know, but it does not mean that the writing style is not phenomenal and that this book is so much fun and tackles a lot of serious things like race as well. It was so enjoyable, definitely a highlight, and I know a lot of people really enjoyed it. The sequel comes out very soon. Again, not sure if I'm gonna get to reading the sequel within 2022. Your girl is hopeful, but the priority is the books that I own, because I got a lot. There are 2 books coming out in June that I'm super stoked for. Okay, we got a sci-fi and a contemporary. So the first one is from the author Christina Forrest, who wrote I Want to Be Where You Are, which is such a cute little romantic story, and also another one called Now That I Found You, which again, cute romance but with an actor, and this one is about a ballerina. So if you love cute fluffy romances, I highly recommend Christina Forrest's work. There is a 3rd book she's coming out with in June that's called like Kaya and something else. It's 2 people's names, but I'm so excited for this. One of my favorite contemporary authors for sure, besides like Maureen Gu. Christina Forrest is getting up there. Very sweet, very cute. Highly recommend her first 2 books, and I'm very excited for her 3rd one. And the next is a continuation of a series that I started last year, Gear Breakers. I really enjoyed this. If you like those shows, like I like Voltron, Gundam, there's a couple of like really popular animes that are about giant fighting robots. If you like that, you're probably gonna like this. I enjoyed it so much. So there is a world where in this government, again, sometimes explaining sci-fi is so difficult. We have the people who live in this wonderful utopian city and are protected by police and have good paying jobs, access to like food and water. So they're living the good life, but they only are living that way because they are colonizing other countries and making those other countries work for them. We have 2 girls who are on opposing sides of this war, one who was born into poverty and decides to fight back by creating these giant war fighting monsters, and another girl from the government side who actually is one of the people manning the robot suits. So each side has these awesome fighting robots, but like the government side obviously has a lot more access to materials and high-tech stuff. Like literally the person who pilots these robots is part robot and has like no like nerve endings and things like that. So cool. And there's a little bit of romance, a little sapphic love. So I think I'm gonna enjoy the sequel. Hopefully I'll get to read it this year. If not, you know, I'll just cry to myself. It's fine. I'll cry myself to bed. It's totally okay. I believe those are most of the books that I'm excited for. I'm actually shocked that there's so many. For some reason I thought there would be less. Like I thought there would be 5, and I guess that's the thing. Every year in my head I would be like, oh, I'm gonna pre-order books from series that I'm currently reading that I'm excited for. And I thought in my head it was like 5 or so books. This is so much. And I'm saving a lot of money by not buying them right now when they're at their most expensive. And on top of that, I'm gonna actually buy them when I'm like ready to read them. So I'm proud of myself and my decision. We'll see if in a month I actually stick to it, because my birthday's in February. So if I end up treating myself to a book or 2, it's probably gonna be a book from this stack. This is a fun way to kind of keep me from buying too many books. I am on like a book buying ban, which I can make a whole nother video about the specific rules that I'm personally making. A specific rule on that list is basically this video. Don't purchase all the books that I'm really excited for. Wait till they come out, and if I'm actually wanting to read it when it comes out, then I will purchase it through an indie bookstore and have it in my hands and read it right then and there. If not, I will wait until I tackle most of my TBR that's large in a charge first and foremost. I know I'm not the only one who will pre-order a book and then totally read it like a year after it comes out. I can't be the only one, right? I hope not. If you made it to the end of this video, leave down below this emoji so I know you are the real MVP. And I want to shout out all my Patreons right now. You guys are thebomb.com. If you are watching this and you like my content, consider checking out my Patreon. It's linked down below, so you can get bonus content and videos from me if you want. If you enjoyed this video, that probably means you have a big TBR yourself, a lot of physical books that you maybe want to read in this year. So I would definitely recommend my last video where I mention reading, or how I read 100 books within the year, my tips and tricks to consistently reading more than 100 books a year. I highly recommend it, especially if you are trying to level up and get your TBR to a more manageable size. I appreciate you and love you so much, and I hope this video gave you a little bit more sunshine, and I will see you in the next one.